Good morning, Rosie. Good
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Nikita.
Nice to see everyone.
Hey, Kyle.
I see
Yeah,
Ravi,
good
I
evening.
see Nikita. Everybody, for first things first, in your Zoom, if you go to the bottom, make sure your video is turned on. So as you scroll on the bottom, if you're on the desktop version, make sure you have the video turned on. It's a little video camera icon that you're gonna wanna click and then say turn video on. So I see Miga, is it Miga or Mega? Mika? Okay.
Mika.
Mika, okay.
That's right.
Nice to see you there.
Same
I've
here.
seen Ravi, Nagamani, I see Jansi.
Yeah, hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's actually good evening, I think, for you guys.
It's good morning.
If you see, Rosie has sent out, we're going to introduce ourselves in a second, but just some housekeeping things. Rosie, do you want to talk about the chat window?
Yep, so just at the bottom as well, you have an icon that says chat. And we're going to be using that function today, so you can just have that to the side. And if you can just mute yourselves as you enter Zoom, just because there's quite a few of us this morning, so it'll just make things easier. And turn your videos on, that would be great.
So yeah, three things: turn your video on, mute yourself, and then look at the chat window. And that will show you, this is how we're going to keep track of anything that we're writing in there. All right, so wow, there are so many. I got 9 more coming. We got 39 people already. This is quite interesting. 41 people now. Wonderful.
That's great.
This is great. So, all right, I'm admitting most people. I think we're going to start officially in around 30 seconds. That's feedback because I need to pause. All right. So if you want to see everybody as well, in the top of your screen, in the top right of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little icon that allows you to see just 1 or 2 people, or you can see the whole grid. So they're like little boxes that you can see the whole grid. And I see Nagamani has raised her hand. She has a question. Go ahead, Nagamani. Maybe she did that accidentally.
That's okay.
That's okay. All right, so we'll go through those housekeeping items. All right, this is interesting. We were gonna have people introduce themselves, but obviously there's no way to do that because there's 47 people in the room. So we're gonna start out a little differently. Good morning or good evening for you guys. We're super excited to help lead this session for you, and hopefully it helps you feel a lot more comfortable with leading class meetings for your class in this time. My name is Kyle Wagner, and I work with teachers over here in Hong Kong in helping set up and make their classrooms more engaging and empowering for students. And I primarily work with secondary. Rosie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm a kindergarten teacher in Hong Kong, but I've also previously taught in primary as well.
Excellent. So Rosie has a really good early years perspective for everybody. And in secondary, I'm going to be able to help out a little bit with you there. In your chat window, if you want, really quickly, just to say, so just to test this out in your chat window, on the chat window, say who, well, we obviously know your name because it'll say your name, but just say what your role is. Are you a teacher of grade 1, grade 2, grade 3? So just put that into the secondary, or into the chat window. Okay, so all right, great. I see people writing that. Pre-primary, we have Lynn. English to grade 6. I, Mo. Middle school, okay, middle school maths, so quite a range. Physics and maths, you see there as well. Cool, so a lot of people represented. All right, so we're gonna play a little bit of introductory game. If this applies to you, you are simply going to raise your hand. There are 2 ways to raise your hand. Rosie, can you share the first way to raise your hand through the actual raise hand function?
Yeah, so if you click on participants, that will bring up a screen on the right hand side, and you should see everyone's name. And underneath that you can see raise hand, yes, no, go slower, go faster. So those are the functions you have there, so you can electronically raise your hand. And can I also just use this as a reminder for everyone to just mute their sound, because there's just a little bit of sound back. So you can raise your hand by pressing the little blue raise your hand button.
All right, great. So let's do the raise hand function. How many of you teach kids that are younger than 10 years old? Who teaches kids that are younger than 10? So raise your hand if you teach kids younger than 10. So great. I already see Gurjeet, Nagamani, Aditi. Great. So practice that. All right. How many of you teach students that are from 10 to 14? All right. How many people teach students that are from 14 to 18 years old? All right, excellent. All right, 2 choices. You're gonna put up a number 1 or number 2. 1 means the first thing that I'm saying. 2 means that you prefer the second thing I'm saying, okay? So first I'm gonna say, do you prefer number 1 or number 2? Okay, the first choice is, are you a coffee person or are you a tea person? 1 for coffee, 2 for tea. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
1.
Okay, I see coffee. Coffee.
3.
All right, I see some more coffee. Great. Let's see. Rosie, do you want to do the one about spiders and snakes?
Sure. This was one that my children made up. So if you would rather have spiders coming out of your nose or snakes coming out of your ears. So 1 for spiders, 2 for snakes. 3, 2, 1, go.
Spider.
Snakes. All right, so I see a lot of snakes, spiders. All right, cool. All right, the last question is, I want to find out who is tuning in from the farthest place away from where we're at in Hong Kong. Okay, so how many people are tuning in? Just raise your, oh, you guys gotta lower your hands. Oh, do I have to lower everybody's hands?
You can do that, yeah.
Okay, I have to manually lower your hand. Okay, so as a teacher, if you're asking your class some questions, you can lower their hands. All right, so I'm gonna lower everybody's hand. How many people raise your hand in the chat window, or sorry, not in the chat window, in your actual screen, if you are tuning in from Europe? Do we have anyone in Europe? Okay.
None from Europe.
Nobody from Europe. How many people are tuning in from North America? Who's tuning in from North America? Anywhere in the United States, Canada? All right, Timothy, cool. Anja, I see you physically raising your hand. All right. How many people are tuning in from India?
Hi.
All right, lots of. Okay. Great. All right, so I'm going to share a screen with you, and we're going to get this started so you know what you're going to kind of walk away with. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to share screen.
Amen.
And this is something that you could do with class as well to get them all set up and ready to go. Now, in your chat window, You can ask
Audio on పెట్టు. Audio పెట్టు.
You might be able to mute everyone. That might be better.
Yeah, let me mute everybody. Let me see.
ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ ట్రై చేయి.
Manage participant. Mute all. Okay. Yeah, I've muted everybody, but I still hear feedback.
Yeah, that didn't mute me either.
Yeah, make sure, guys, that you have your mics muted. I still see some people who don't have their mics muted, and there's some background noise. Okay, so this is going to be how to engage and empower your online learners. Now, I know a lot of us are very much new to online learning. A lot of us have been thrown in this situation because of this virus, and all of a sudden our schools are shut down. So Rosie and I are going to help prepare you at least to run your very first class meeting. Here's what we're going to learn how to do. You're going to learn how to run your class online with little to no tech. Use simple strategies during online Zoom meetings like these to engage and empower your learners. So we're going to take you through a couple games and things you might do with your learners to start your class meeting. And the third is structure your first online meeting with students. Okay, so we're going to demonstrate how you might actually run a class, and then hopefully you can take those tools away and run that with your class, regardless of what age group that you are teaching. Okay. Now, notice the community here. I keep admitting people because there's so many people here. There's 58 people in this room. Now, hopefully you wouldn't have a class with 58 people that are tuning in all at the same time. But if you do, obviously, you're going to realize it's very hard as a teacher for you to do everything yourself. So the whole idea with this is that you have your needs with online learning, and there's myself and Rosie who can help you with some of those needs. But really what we're trying to do is look at how the community, this whole community, can help you meet your needs with students. Okay? So, how do you engage your learners? So now don't think about this in terms of online, because some of you haven't run online class. In the chat window, you can write in your chat window, how do you engage your learners in class? So Rosie, can you give an example of how someone might engage their learners?
Sure. So mine are really young, so we keep sessions really short and snappy, and we play lots of interactive games as well.
Great. So they play interactive games to keep learners engaged. How do you, in your physical classes, whether you're in India, whether you're in the United States, wherever you're tuning in from, how do you keep your learners engaged? Please write that in the chat window right now.
Great. So we've got cross-questioning, interactive games, questions, keeping it short, keeping it simple, giving them simple tasks, teaching aids, lots of discussion. Yeah, so we need that collaboration between students. That's really important. Interactive and videos, playing games linked to the topic, engaging them in physical activities. That's brilliant, isn't it? Especially when maybe you do have a longer session, just giving them a little brain break, breaking that up. Quizzes, activity before concept, interactive activities. These are great. That's awesome.
Awesome. Guys, you are already superstar teachers. You got them all, right? Activities, do the activity first, get them engaged, then, do the lesson from that. So great things that we're hearing, as much movement as possible. So we're online, and how in the heck are we going to get people moving around if we're online? Rosie.
All right, so I'm going to play a game, and maybe we can do 2 rounds of this. And Shilpa, because you're an expert on this webinar, you can think about the second object that we get. So it's an object hunt. You need to find something in your house that is green, and you need your video on. So go and find something that's green, bring it back and show us using your video what you found. Are you ready? You've got to get moving. 3, 2, 1, go. I'll unmute myself. All right, I found a cushion. That was quite tricky. I had to go looking. I can see some plants, some pens, some books. Good finds. All right, Shilpa, what's the next one? Let's keep it going. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
I can unmute her.
Oh.
Go ahead, Shilpa.
Could we find a picture? I'm sure you could find a picture.
Picture.
Okay, picture, go. Oh, nice. Got a whole wall of pictures there.
Oh. All right, so how about someone shares their picture? So this is the way you can get your class engaged, find out about each other. I'm gonna randomly pick someone. How about, let me see, I'm looking at the pictures. What looks most interesting? All right, I see a picture from Vijayalakshmi. Is that?
Yeah, Vijay Lakshmi.
Can you share with us your picture?
Oh, if you unmute yourself, you can tell us about your picture.
Well, that's my kid, and yes, this is, you can call me Vijaya.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
Oh,
How about Ravi?
she's gorgeous.
Ravi, can you share?
Yeah, this is the picture of my kids in Krishna avatar.
Wow, very cute. So they look like they're what, middle school age? How old are they?
Yeah, they're in middle school. The elder one is past 10th grade. We're waiting for results. The second one, the younger one, has come to 7th grade, 7th.
Ah, excellent. Great, so 2 boys. Okay, cool. So those are a couple games, activities that you can do. Shilpa, thank you for helping us lead that and taking a risk there. So this is a good way too that you can involve your class, right? Anything else you want to say about this, Rosie?
No, so it's just a great way to get them moving and getting them talking. That's the most important thing. This is something that's new for them. They're not used to talking to a screen. They might be used to watching videos and YouTube and all of those things, but they're always passive. They don't have to talk. Whereas this, we're trying to get that interaction, which is so, so important. So getting them to talk about something that's special to them, or that's something that's in their house that they can share with their friends. It's a great way to get that interaction and just kind of break down that barrier of kind of the fourth wall.
Great. I have a question too from Timothy. Will you be sharing the PowerPoint after the webinar and video? Yes. So we're going to share this PowerPoint and webinar, and I'm hopefully going to also be able to share how we set this up for you as well. So now notice there's a lot of people in the room, so we've given you 2 options. 1, you can use your chat window. 2, you want to start off the meeting being very interactive and fun. And 3, you want to basically give an overview to students as to what they're going to do in the lesson, because really what it helps, especially for adults as well, is it helps you feel like, hey, I'm going to get something out of this. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint just for a second and share a little bit more about how you're going to structure your meetings. Okay, so here it's coming. All right, so just really quickly, my struggles with online learning is at first I tried to do everything. We were going to lead a webinar, and I called up Rosie. I'd spent 2.5 hours on it, and I was about 40 slides through. And Rosie, what did you tell me?
I was like, we're talking about making our webinar engaging and making our lessons engaging. So this has to be that. It has to be interactive. It can't just be a PowerPoint with 1,000 slides. So we changed it all last minute, and we're hoping that we can do the same today, even when there's 50 of you, to still make it really, really interactive.
Great, yeah, so make it very interactive, make it fun, make it short, and make it simple. So in the same way that you run your class, there's 3 parts when you're doing an online class meeting. Okay, so just to keep this very simple, it's the same way in which you would run a lesson in class. And all of you already seem like you're experienced teachers. Even if you're new to teaching, this is the most simple way you can structure it. So the first way is your beginning. So how do you start off learners in your first meeting? You want to begin to make it fun, make it light, get them connected, and set the stage. So we just modeled how you might begin as learners are tuning in. Okay. Anything else you want to mention about that, Rosie?
No, another way as well could be to get them to share their favorite song or share something that had happened to them each week, so that it's really personal, it's all about them, and it just helps them to feel like they're still part of that class community.
Great. So I like that you said make it about them, and that then will bring them in. So in the same way that you want to kind of build that rapport with your class, you have that rapport probably built in already, but you want to continue that. Okay, the middle is your short lesson delivery. Okay, it's a very short lesson. Whereas in class, we can have a larger lesson, we have longer time, we can get them in groups, get them interacting. Online is a little bit different, right? So you can't really talk to them that much. So it's a very short lesson. And usually it's a lesson that's supporting something that you might have already sent out to them before. Okay, so I'm never going to just show a video in my Zoom, class or go through a very long lecture. If you do have a long lecture, send that out to them beforehand so that they can review it, and then you can make your short lesson a little bit more interactive. Do you want to mention anything else, Rosie?
No, I think that's a great way to do it. Then they can, for some of your learners, they might need to re-watch that, and it might take them a longer time to get through the content, whereas other children might not need that. So it's thinking about how you can share that beforehand, and then your Zoom time, your time with them, is really just about discussions and collaboration and sharing ideas, and then supporting those children that need it.
Great. Third part is your closing. Okay, so you've given your short lesson. It's either helping support maybe a lecture that you have sent out ahead of time, and then now you're doing that short kind of reflection or follow-up on that. And then the closing is after you've had some students have an opportunity to share with each other, you want to reflect on your learning and assign work to complete before next class. Now, you might be wondering for step 2, well, how do I do that? I've got 25 to 30 kids in my class. How do I actually deliver something and have them then discuss and then bring it back at the end? So we're going to demonstrate how you can do that. Right now, I'm counting. Let me move this. I still have participants joining. This is crazy. All right, 2 more. I'm going to admit them. Shilpa, you did an amazing job. We went from 6 people to 60. So that's okay. Thank you, Shilpa, for doing that. Shilpa, you're amazing for how you organize this. So there's 60 people. So how are we going to make this interactive with 60 people? So I'm going to demonstrate how we might do that for the middle in just a second here, okay? So the next thing you're going to have an opportunity to do is you are going to have an opportunity to talk with each other in your discussion groups. Now, we are having to alter this plan completely. Let's be honest, like Rosie was going to take the younger teachers for elementary, and I was going to take the secondary teachers. But we thought there was going to be 8 people. There are now 60 people, so that's going to be very tough to do. So instead, Rosie, how do you feel about if we say, okay, here is a model lesson, here's your lesson, learn the elements, major elements of fictional stories. That might be how you introduce it to students. And in your breakout rooms, you are going to pick your 3 or 4 favorite stories, favorite fictional stories. And you're going to talk about what are those common elements. So you might think of stories like, for example, Cinderella. Most people know the story of Cinderella. What are the common elements of Cinderella? Maybe the story of fictional stories, Titanic or Lord of the Rings, or there's probably a lot of Indian stories that I might not know as well. Okay, so what are the major elements of fictional stories? Okay, so you're going to discuss that in your small room. What is something that's similar? Maybe you say they're characters, there are good characters and there are bad characters. That might be something you discuss in your group. Or you might discuss that there is always a problem. Okay, so whatever those are, you discuss those in your room. Rosie, how do you feel about them doing that?
Yeah, and if we stay in this room, then we can bring them back in just a minute.
Okay, so we are going to send you to your rooms. Introduce yourselves to each other because you might never have seen each other before. Second is Talk about your favorite stories and what are your favorite elements. All right. I'm going to be honest. I'm a little bit nervous about this. I'm not going to lie because I wasn't expecting so many people, but we're going to make it work. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. You are going to have, let's see, what do you think? 4 people, Rosie?
Yep.
Cool. You're going to have 4 to 5 people in your room. You're going to have a screen that says go to breakout room. You have to click on that. Then you're going to go to your room and talk about. Shilpa, what are they going to talk about?
Fictional stories that they like about.
Favorite stories, and 2?
Their characters, bad or good.
Yes, I love that. And what brings them together? What links those
Yes.
stories together?
What are the similarities? What do all these great stories have in common? All right, here we go. Create breakout rooms. If you see on your screen, it says join breakout room. Join the breakout room and talk with your friends.
A conflict.
And conflict, yes. And then what links them together?
Exactly.
Thanks, Eva.
So join,
Okay, so press OK, and then it's going to send you to a room. Everyone press OK to join
everyone
the
press
breakout.
OK and it's going to send you to a breakout room, okay? So everyone hit OK.
Or join, I think it might say join.
Here you go. So click join the breakout room.
Yes, well done. Keep going. Join,
Keep
join,
going,
join.
keep joining.
Carly, we're going to stay here for a sec.
I'll stay here just until they all join. And
Okay.
then we could just, I'm going to just go to different rooms. But you go to your room and then I'm just going to hover and
You want me to go?
You go. Go.
Okay, okay.
All right. Almost everybody's joined the breakout room. All right. Did you guys get asked, Mo, did you get asked to join a breakout room? Arjumand, did you guys get asked to join a breakout room? You can unmute yourself. Sheetal, Aruna, Mukta, Narbada, can you please join your breakout room? Are you having trouble? Arjumand, are you in your breakout room?
Yeah. Actually,
Okay.
I joined a little late.
Oh, I see. You just joined. Oh, that's why. Okay. Hi, nice to see you. Everybody is in smaller rooms right now.
I'm in.
So let
I'm
me
in
see.
too.
Yeah. So everybody who's here in the main room, it looks like there's 1, 2, 3. There's about 12 people. We are going to discuss, so if you just joined, what we're discussing is how you might run a lesson with students. And so this lesson is going to be on story structure. And so you are talking about what are your favorite stories and what are the similarities of all these great stories? Like, what do they have in common? Maybe they all have really good characters you might share, or that there is a problem that they're addressing, okay? So that's what the short lesson topic is going to be, and then we're going to bring you all back. Okay, does that make sense? So go ahead. What are your favorite stories? Anyone? Arjuman, Mo, anyone? Favorite stories?
Yeah. Hansel and Gretel.
What is it?
Hansel and Gretel.
Okay, Hansel and Gretel, great. Other ones?
Little Red Riding Hood.
Little Red Riding Hood. Others?
Snow White.
Snow White, there's a good one. All right, so as you see here, I'm writing Snow White. You guys see that? Hansel and Gretel. Little Red Riding Hood. All right, other stories?
Cinderella.
All right, what's that one?
Cinderella.
Cinderella, okay, great. So, all right, that, Cinderella. All right, so what do these stories have in common? What are something that makes these stories so great?
They are fiction.
Okay, so I will put a thing here. It
Yes.
says there's fiction, okay. What about like the elements? What are the elements of the story that make them so memorable?
The characters are all
The
good.
setting.
What's that?
The setting. There are good and bad characters.
Ah, okay. So I'm going to put
Yeah,
here.
characters.
So characters, is it just that they're good and bad characters? What about the characters make them, such memorable stories?
Yeah, there are fictional characters like witches and magic and all that.
Ah, okay. So I'm going to connect those two. You said they're fictional characters.
They are also characters who have problems.
Ah, okay. So I'm going to put that as a different one here. All right. Problems. Okay.
And they overcome that problem at the end.
Ah, they overcome the problem. Okay, these characters do. The good characters usually are the bad characters. So I'm going to put here, you guys see this?
Yeah.
All right, so the characters overcoming their problems. All right.
And victory of good over evil. I mean, that's the
okay.
lesson that we can learn.
I'm going to say, what do they call good or bad characters? Do you know the fancy name for those? It starts with pro. Have you guys heard this phrase, protagonist?
Yeah,
Okay,
antagonists and protagonists.
and protagonist, good. So I'm going to put, when you said good over evil, is that another category? Would you put that as another category on this brainstorm? Is that a problem we put? Okay. I'll put that.
That's as a lesson.
Ah, okay.
Lesson?
So, some kind of lesson, right?
Yes.
And it's, so let's see. I'm going to draw this too. This is a connecting. It's a lesson that helps them, kind of overcome the problem. All right. I think it's just, we got some more in here. Sneha, I haven't heard from you. Can I hear from other people? What else they got?
We just discussed with another friend in the group about her favorite story happens to be Cinderella.
Okay.
And, then mine, it was about Panchtantra stories we have in India. This for the small children, the kids stories. It's more with the animal and characters in that. Sort of fables.
Fables. Oh, okay.
Right.
So I'm going to put protagonist and antagonist, and then here.
Right.
I'm going to also draw. Sorry, were you finished?
Yeah.
So maybe for characters too that make them memorable is like a lot of times they'll have like animal characters.
Right.
I'll put like fables. All right. Cool. So just to give you guys an idea of what I'm doing, I'm just sharing my screen and it's a whiteboard.
Right.
Can you try on your screen? You should be able to actually control the whiteboard. Can you see the options there right on the whiteboard? I think it's up in the top of your screen.
Yeah. View options is given.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to try just writing something in like another category on the whiteboard to see if they can do that? Nice. I see someone writing a category. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So feel free if you want to add a category. We have problems. We have lessons, fiction. I see a heart.
Yeah.
That's nice. I'm going to put someone in charge of this, just like you might do with students. Okay. And I think who wants to be in charge of this? I'm going to just assign someone if no one volunteers, because I got to go to different rooms. So how about? Oh, I can't see your names. I'm sorry. Who wants to be in charge of this discussion? Can you just raise your hand? Someone, come on. It's like the kids, right? Nobody wants to be in charge. Okay, I don't see your name, but it's the person in red with like pictures ahead above you. Can you be in charge of this room? You have a yellow couch. You're on a yellow couch in red.
Yeah.
Okay. You're in charge of this room. Okay, so you guys keep brainstorming.
So what am I supposed to do? Like, what are we supposed to do?
So keep filling out this brainstorm of stories, and then what are the major, categories of these great stories? So we started with some, so you continue that, okay?
Okay, fine.
And I'm going to join some other breakout rooms to help people out. Okay, bye-bye.
Right.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, so where should we begin with?
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Mo.
Hi.
Hi. Hello, everyone. This is Neha. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I think I have paused my video. Okay. Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Sneha.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Gurpreet Kaur. And how about you? I didn't get your name.
I'm Sneha.
Sneha. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hi, Sneha.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Aditi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Hi. Is this Sheetal ma'am?
Yeah, I am. Not able to recognize you.
Hi, Anju ma'am.
Hi, Sneha.
Hello.
Hi.
Morning, everyone. Good morning.
Back to the discussion.
Yeah. In fables, usually we relate the stories of moral stories with the characters of animal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then the moment children are given the characters, and then they try to write down imagination and develop their own story also. Some options are given like that. So do you all try that with your children?
Yeah.
Right? And now Kyle wanted us to expand on that picture, the mind map. Right?
Okay.
Can we go back to that?
Oh, do you guys not see the mind map?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me share it again. So, you know what I figured out, guys, is that when I do that mind map and I go to another breakout room, so let's say your kids have started on one, if I go to a breakout room, it will then, that you don't see whiteboard anymore.
That's
So,
true. That's true.
You know what you might do with your students is you might assign a student to each, like in each room, saying, hey, you're the leader, you're gonna lead this discussion. So for example, I should have said that to you earlier, and then you share your screen and you could do the whiteboard discussion and it would stay up there for your room. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. That was a...
So it's okay. Kyle, quick question. Can we, as a moderator, can we join a chat room? I mean,
Yes.
breakout room?
Yes. If you're the moderator, you can join each of the breakout rooms. Yeah. Let me do this. Let me stop share for a second so I can see everybody coming in because I sent everyone back. Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Hey, hi.
Nice to see you again. I'm almost sorry I left you guys in those rooms for a long time, okay? But so Meg asked a question, how do you create breakout rooms? Good question. There's going to be a function, you can't see this, but I'm gonna show you this in the video. There's a function at the bottom of your screen if you're moderating that says breakout rooms, and you click on breakout rooms and you can either send students automatically or you can manually send students to each of their rooms, okay?
Could you repeat that, Kyle? Could you please repeat that? How do we enter the breakout?
So you guys can't, if you look at your screen, you can't assign breakout rooms, but myself as a moderator, at the bottom of my little screen, it says more and I click breakout rooms.
Okay.
And then I can send to breakout rooms. I'm gonna send everybody this tutorial, by the way, on how to make breakout rooms. Okay, so you know how to do that. Okay, so just really quick, Rosie, I'm gonna show them what they might do, like once the students come back. And then maybe you can also share your, like some of your little tips as well that you have in your PowerPoint. Cool. And guys, if you want to write your questions down in the right side of your screen, please write those questions down because we'll try to address those. We'll have about 10 minutes at the end to address those, okay? Now, once your students come back into this room and everyone's had their little discussions, what you might do is, as a moderator, is say share, and then you'll have a whiteboard, okay? Now, everyone probably sees this whiteboard, and this is something that you can do with your class, okay? So I might then, at the middle, say great stories, okay? That might be a way that I'm running this. And you might then have students from each breakout room to share, hey, here's what we did in our breakout rooms. We talked about characters. So you might have each person share and say, okay, we talked about characters. And we talked about in all these stories, they have good characters and bad characters. So good, and then put bad here. All right? So that's something that you can do as well. And you might call on a particular student. So I might call on Shilpa. Shilpa, what did you guys discuss in your room about good stories? What's something else you shared?
It was the characters that influenced us the most. It was the influence that was unique to all our stories. I mean, that was common to all our stories.
Okay. So I'm going to say influence and relatable characters.
Right.
Right? So now what you could do as well is I'm going to move that and then put here, I'm going to put a connection. So I'm going to connect those to good, and I'm also going to connect to bad. Right? So this is a really cool function that you can do, and all you have to do is just share your whiteboard, and you can run this with students. You can give them permissions to write on the whiteboard, or you can remove that permission so you can do it as a teacher, okay? So does anyone have any questions on the whiteboard? You can, in the chat window, just put your questions. No questions on that. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna erase this, okay? Let's see, erase. Okay. Can students also write on the board? Good question, Mega. Yes, you can. The students can write on the board. Try now. Try to write on the board. Rosie, can you tell them how to do that?
I can't write on the board right now because you're sharing.
Oh, someone's writing.
Oh.
Hey, there you go. Hello.
Whoever's writing, maybe they can explain because I can't actually act.
Anyone want to unmute themselves and explain how you're writing on the board?
There was a pen symbol in the corner so that we can edit or write it.
Okay, so
There's a pen in the corner, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. These are cool drawings. Oh, I'm erasing as we go here. Hey! So notice kids will have a lot of fun with this, obviously, right? So
How do we erase that?
So for example, I'm the moderator, so I just go to the
Okay.
and I just erase. So
Yeah.
So Kyle, maybe you can add this. I actually couldn't access that. So
Me
maybe
neither.
you can add that to your tutorial as well.
I think one of the teachers, I'm sorry, I don't see your name, but you said there's a pen tool, right?
Yeah, it's just below the whiteboard screen.
Below the whiteboard screen. Okay, so
Yeah.
you see your whiteboard screen, Rosie? Apparently below there's a pen function.
Yes.
You need to tap
that button.
When you just tap onto the screen, you will see a pen coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So here is the process. You have to basically make a full screen out of it.
Okay.
In view options, you have to click on annotate. And then you'll
view
see
options.
then you'll see the mouse text. So
Got it. Okay, that's really useful. Thank you, Ravi.
All right, this is perfect because you guys see exactly, notice how we didn't even intend that, but the students taught us how to do something. All right, so thank you guys for teaching us how to do that. I am going to now not allow you to write on the board anymore. I apologize. All right, nobody can write on the board. It's been removed. There's an option also to save your whiteboard. So as a moderator, you can save whatever the brainstorm is that students come up with, okay? All right, thank you very much. You guys are really good students because you're helping everyone out. I'm gonna, Rosie, I'm gonna allow you now to share your screen so you can share some more tips before we get to all the questions.
Okay, great. So I hope you can see my screen. So I just wanted to share a few things in terms of what I'm doing with my children at the moment. So every day we have a daily Zoom call just like this with a small group. So we set up the groups depending on their language ability, and they're quite small groups. So as you can see, there's myself, and then there's only 4 other screens. And it looks like this. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing, and we're just talking through it. So the most important thing for me in terms of tasks is not really the end result. It's more about the connection, that we're all doing something as a community, we're all working on something together, and trying to get them to talk and interact as much as possible. So they talk to each other, they talk to me, and the focus is more just kind of about vocabulary and community. In the afternoon, we have one-to-one calls. So we use Skype or we use Google Hangouts, and I have a one-to-one call with them, which is about connection and securing the relationship that I have with the children. But that's my time to really get the content in. It's on a one-to-one level, so I know exactly where they're at. I know what targets they're working on, what works well for them. I have one child who finds it really, really difficult to sit in front of the screen, so often we don't. He sits on the sofa, he sits on the floor, he's really, really interactive, so I get him up and about all of the time, really physical, and I just try and get that 5 minutes of content in. And I just wanted to add something about letting them take the lead. So so if you look on the left hand of the screen, I had a maths lesson, a one-to-one maths lesson where I planned for them to go and find some pencils and do some counting. This then led into an object hunt, just like the one we showed you, where we started looking for things that were blue, and then we had Elsa and every other toy in the mix. And then she was leading the way, so she was asking me to go find something that's old, find something that's you bought in a different country, find something that's red, all of those different things. So we were working on something together and working as a team. This then led into her finding some bowls, and we did some rhyming. So we were talking about making silly soup. So we were putting in a cat and a hat and a mat and stirring the soup all together, which then evolved into this tea party where, I'm not kidding, I literally spent about 5 minutes pretending to drink tea through a screen. But it was great. We had such a good chat. It was 5 minutes extra out of my day where we had a connection. It was a little bit of fun, and it was a small win. I managed to do a phonics lesson that I hadn't even planned, and we did some rhyming. So it was great, and she was really excited about it. And the next day, we came back as a group, and she shared it with everyone. So don't be afraid to manage your expectations. There's going to be lessons where they completely go out the window and they're not going to be what you think that you had originally planned, just like in the classroom, but probably even more so. So allow them to take the lead sometimes, allow it to go off on a different direction, and that's okay. And in group calls, I try and make it really personal. It's about them. So I know some of my children really like competitions, and some of them are really confident in sharing and leading, and some of them really like stories. So I try and bring that into what we're doing. So the other day we read a story about owls. We made some owl puppets with just like some boxes and some paper and some lollipop sticks, anything they had at home. And then I just put it back to them, and I was like, what are we going to do with these puppets? And they wanted to have a flying competition. So guess what? We were all doing this around our house and flying with our puppets. And then we started talking about first and second and third and last. And then on the screen, I started writing the numbers and teaching them about ordinal numbers. So sometimes when they do take the lead, there's like these prime little pockets where you can teach them something and they can teach the group something as well. So manage your expectations. You're not going to be able to teach all of your content perfectly. And that's okay. No one is around the whole world. So we've got to just adapt and we've got to change. And if you make it fun and you make it engaging, this is going to be a sustained period of time, but you're going to be able to keep that engagement for longer. Otherwise, you're going to burn them out in a week, and you're going to have issues like they're not turning on their videos and not turning up prepared. And we don't want that. So keep it fun, keep it short. And just keep that connection. It's really, really important. So those are just some of the things that have been working for me. And I was trying to have a think about what I would have wanted to hear when I was at the beginning of the journey. So I hope they're helpful. Can't hear you, Kyle.
Thank you, Rosie. Let's give Rosie a round of applause.
Yes.
Very good, Rosie. So Rosie, she's going to be bashful. She's an early years specialist. I mean, the fact that she just went with that and just did the whole like rhyming soup and mix everything together shows how great of a teacher you are. I see a lot of people smiling right now because I know you guys are fantastic teachers. So we aren't going to just expect that, hey, we know everything. You guys all know things. Think about the same way you run a class. Keep it short, keep it interactive, keep it fun. Keep them having fun. The biggest thing that we've heard from teachers, Rosie, you can probably agree with this, is that kids got burnt out because all the teachers were trying to send all their assignments and get everything covered, and that won't work, okay? So keep it light, keep it fun, keep them wanting to show up online. All right, can you please write your questions in the sidebar? Everyone write like one question. What is your biggest question that you have? I want to see that in the sidebar. We have time for answering questions.
Oh, I just have 5 minutes before I have to go.
Okay, that's totally fine. So Rosie's got to get going because she's going to lead a class.
In 5 minutes, don't worry.
5 minutes.
Thank you, Rosie, for your time.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Thank you.
Shilpa, do you want to say anything? I don't see anyone writing any questions. That must mean everyone's fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, from whichever subject that you teach, could you give us a few inputs on how do you, I mean, let's say you're an English teacher, how do you make content interesting, or how do you have special categories or special ways to engage your classroom, which are specific to your subject? I know we cannot give, we cannot help every language teacher or every subject teacher, but at least the subject that you teach, do you have any inputs for that specific category of
Yeah,
students?
I mean, I would say always, here's my biggest tips. It doesn't matter what your subject is, right? You know, as a good teacher, you're breaking complex things down in things that are very simple, right? So if you're a physics teacher and you want to teach the concepts of, force and everything else and acceleration, you might start out by saying, hey, where do you see examples of force? Like what are things that exhibit the most force? And in the Zoom lesson, bring back an example of something that where you see force used. And some people might say airplanes. They might say like a train or a boat, or they might say a ball rolling down a hill. So do you see what I'm saying, Shilpa? It's like start out with your subject, have kids start with like, here's what I'm interested in. And then now you're getting at those more complex concepts, I would say. I don't know if that answers your question, but always break it down to start with them and then get to your content under that. Rosie, good point, yeah.
Yeah, another question that comes to my mind as you're a project-based leader, project-based learning leader, do you think this is the right time to get going with project-based learning, even though we haven't started yet for any of the schools that might be representing right now? Do you think that's one of the areas that we can explore at this point of time, because it engages the student and you are at an advantage to keep your students in participate and you know that they are participating?
Okay, good question, Shilpa. Here's your answer. Okay, you guys probably all see that in the chat window. Yes, guys, this is your chance. I'm only one person, okay? Shilpa's only one person. Rosie's only one person. You guys are all in this webinar for a reason. You are creative, innovative teachers. Do a project. Make this fun. Find out what they're interested in. You are taking this risk. You all showed up to this, and I'll tell you, I've worked with other teachers, and they're not as enthusiastic. They're like, how do I run my curriculum? Take this time to run a very interesting project with students, whether that's having them participate in a Model United Nations conference. I've seen people create shared recipe books. Right now, they're having each kid interview family members and find out their favorite recipe and then putting that into a digital cookbook, and then they're sharing the story behind that. Like, that's something that's going to be fun for kids. Timothy, yes, here you go. I'm going to share the best one that I know of right now.
Kyle, can we also share the Padlet?
Yes.
So we have a document called a Padlet, and it's got all of, it's got loads of different ideas about engaging learners. It's got loads of conversations about parent involvement and lots of different things from educators that we've done this webinar with. It's a great tool for you to add to. You know, we've been speaking to some of our educators in Southeast Asia, and we've told them about how we've got this meeting with you guys, and they're really, you know, excited that there's more people coming on board that we can all learn from. This is a community. We don't have all of the answers. We can only just share what's worked with us and hope that you guys will do the same as well. You know, me and Kyle came into this wanting to learn as much as to facilitate it. So we'll share the Padlet with you, and the expectation is that you add to it as well, to be part of this community.
So thank you. What she's describing there for everybody is we have a shared community resource, Padlet, that have teachers from all over inputting, here's what's really working to keep students engaged. So I see someone asking a question, how do you make sure that every child is participating in the discussion? There's a lot of really good ideas on that Padlet. So what we're trying to do is create the community resources so everyone can start answering that, okay? I'm gonna share, you want me to share that in the window, Rosie?
Yeah, let's share that. And then,
so let me share that right now. There's so many people, I'm gonna have to go to exit full screen. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to have to go. So see you later. Thank you, everyone. And I hope to connect with you on Padlet.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, if you can stick around, I'm happy to continue this. Let me share with you just a couple more resources. Okay. Here is one that's going to be very helpful. So I'm going to put this in the chat window. Okay, so does everyone see that in your chat window? If you go to that Padlet, Shilpa, do you want me to share that Padlet really quick? Just
Yeah, sure.
All right, I'll share a screen, so I'll show you it really quick. All right, so here we go. Share screen. All right. It's still loading, guys, unfortunately, because it takes a long time with the bandwidth. But there is this Padlet here, activities and strategies to increase student engagement. Okay, I have started it, and anybody can join this Padlet. So any ideas that you guys have, please feel free to share. Unfortunately, it's still loading, but there are tons of ideas in here from teachers all across different schools, and they've just put their tips on how to engage learners. Oh, here you see it now. What are ways to improve work submission? How do we create active participation? How do we engage younger students? How to increase collaboration? So all of these are inputs and ideas from teachers all across the world. Anybody can join this. So if you want to hit the plus button, you can add any ideas you have, and these resources are available for you as well. Okay, so that is the Padlet. All right. I'm going to stop sharing that because it's taking up a lot of my bandwidth, unfortunately. Okay, let's see. Questions. Are these resources free for educators? Yes. That Padlet I make free for all educators. On that, it has a lot of other ideas that you can use as well. And I'm trying to put all the free links in there.
Excuse me, is there a way where you can sort out your Padlet according to the subject and the grade level?
Oh, great question. Yes. So the question is, can we sort out the Padlet so it's related to the grade level in the question? Yes, you can do that, but I want to keep it more in the structure of questions, like how do you increase student engagement in an actual Zoom discussion, or how do you use project-based learning? Because I feel those big questions are better as categories. So if you want to try to do that and make a copy of the Padlet, you can, but I want to keep it more question-oriented and go across grade levels, because I don't want to be like, here's something to do with secondary, here's something to do with primary, because these engagement strategies will work for all levels. Vijaya Lakshmi asked, can we reiterate on how to use the whiteboard in Zoom? Sure. I will send out a tutorial as well, but if you just go to share screen. So I'm going now to share my screen, and I'm going to share my whiteboard. If you are the moderator, you will have permissions to the whiteboard. And notice every time I share my whiteboard, whatever is up there will come up again. So that's as a moderator. And there's a button there where you can hit save, and that will then save your whiteboard. Okay, so let me get off of this for a second.
I have shared a link in the chat board, which is otis.teq, not TC. Let me type it again. They have videos and lessons on how to use Teams, how to use Zoom. So they have very good explanation about different features of these platforms. So it is otis.teq.com, and it's free for educators.
Thank you very much, Timothy. I see that in the chat window. Does anybody else want to write anything in the chat window in terms of resources that they know of?
Sure, please.
So Manjula, you are sharing your screen right now.
Hi Manjula, if you could stop sharing your screen and type your question in the chat window, welcome. I think that'll be helpful.
That's all right. I stopped her from sharing. So someone accidentally started to share their screen. So that happens with your students. You can stop them. So I just stopped you. Sorry, Manjula. And if you want to show us something, just write it in the chat window. So Shilpa, I wanted to ask. Actually, sorry, Suhas, raise your hand. Suhas, go ahead. You can ask your question. Go ahead.
Can you share a few more resources for PBL?
Sorry, can you ask that again?
Can you share a few more resources for the PBL?
Oh, for PBL?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you see if you look up in your chat window where it says PBL Works, High Tech High, expeditionarylearning.org, and Transform School? These are some, they have project ideas in for you. You see that?
Okay, okay. Yeah.
So Shilpa, is it okay if I'm gonna just share like a scan to a Google form, so if people want to write their names and emails, or maybe you could share that I can then send, you know, all these resources and stuff too. Is that okay?
Yes, please. I was about to say that. If I do not, I just have few people's email IDs and names. It would be really helpful if you could give us your name, your email address, and the school that you're representing. As Kyle mentioned, he would give you the form, or I can do that for you. But please, this will provide you resources. Also in future, if we want to get in touch with you for any of the reasons, we can definitely be able to use this contact information. So please do not forget, just like the webinar's information was provided to you, in future we can directly send it across to you. So please give us your contact information. Kyle, if you could also give a section for their phone number and make it non-mandatory, that will be really helpful.
So if I could, thank you very much, Shilpa, for sharing that. Guys, it's gonna take me like maybe 30 seconds, but what I'm gonna do is share with you the link to a Google form that you can take, and then that will give us information, and so we can get a hold of you, okay? So let me get that Google form for you in a second as I'm pulling this up. Let's see, here we go. Oh, here we go. So I'm gonna share this with you, and then this will allow you to leave your name, your email, your contact information, and where you need the most support, okay? I apologize because there's about 65 people that showed up, and we expected only like 6 or 7, so I'm really inspired by this. But I don't have that survey right now, and it's just gonna come up in a second. All right.
Did you post the link yet?
Do you guys see that link now in the?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we got it.
Can you try clicking on that? Does that work for you?
Yes, it does.
It does.
Awesome. Yeah, if you want more of these resources, just put your name. It asks you for your role in education, and give us some feedback how we did today. We didn't expect so many people. I'm so inspired by this, actually. Like I'm like really, really happy that you guys all showed up.
Hey Kyle.
Yep.
So I don't see a section where it asks for name and contact information.
If you go, do you see in the bottom? It says, please provide your name and email so we can provide more details. Do you see that?
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna add a question right now, guys, because there's so many people that it'll be easier if I just get your name and then your email and I can put it in a spreadsheet. So I'm gonna add that question right now. That'll be a lot easier. All right, so here's a question. What is your name? I'll put that right at the top. What is your name? And there we go. Hopefully it updates in live time. And what is your email?
It does. It does update in like 5 seconds.
Did it update already? Do you see that?
If you have saved it, it should. I'm refreshing my page. Just give me a second. Yeah, it did. The first question, your name. Second is what is your email.
All right. So Shilpa, I think that's it now, because if everybody can just make sure that you go to that link, give us your name and email. I will send a follow-up that includes how to set up your breakout rooms, how to do the whiteboard, and then also the link to the Padlet. Okay, and then Shilpa, maybe what we could do is look at what they need more support with, and we can look at how we can set up our next meeting. Does that work?
Yes, that works perfect.
All right, last thing we're gonna do is a group photo. So you guys are all superheroes because you're teaching in this very tough time. So you have to do a pose of your favorite superhero, okay? And then I'm gonna take a picture of everybody. Ready? I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it, then I'm taking a group picture of superheroes. Ready? Think your superhero in 3, 2, 1. Picture. Everyone. You guys are awesome. Have a great rest of your day. I will share this out. And Shilpa, do you want to stay on and everyone else can leave and then we can chat?
Yeah, before that, I want to thank you, Kyle, for all your time while everyone is here. I really appreciate the immense amount of time and effort that you put in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all for joining in.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining in.
Bye. Stay safe.
Stay safe, stay healthy, stay indoors.
Yeah, chat. Chat everyone. Please chat. Chat को नीचे
So Shilpa, I'm gonna send you a link. I'm gonna just kick everyone out now, and I'm gonna send you a link, okay? Yeah. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Good job.